Hello, everyone. This is Crackling Cones, and this is Jennifer Cunningham, and this is the great Maighread Birdsong. And she is going to inform us a little bit about Bigfoot, and then we're going to discuss some other really important subjects. Maighread, why don't you talk a little bit about Hope and Bigfoot and what you know about it?
Oh, I've never really been hunting Bigfoot or any of that. Years ago, my mom used to, when we heard about Bigfoot, my mother would just say, "Oh, that's one of your hillbilly relatives. Got them big feet running through the hills, honey. Don't ever be afraid of Bigfoot because he's a cousin." Of course, in as you well know, in the southern communities, anybody that's not your cousin or your uncle is just a cousin. You know, we don't know how to, it's a second cousin twice removed. He's so and so's brother or cousin. We don't know. We just call everybody cousins because it gets too complicated. But yeah, I've always felt that he was like a big teddy bear runs through the woods or whatever. I've never really had any bad thoughts about him or any, not much thoughts at all. You hear about him and stuff, but I'll tell you, in 2020, I went to East Eddy. And of course, up there at the East Eddy Ranch, they have a lot of different phenomena that comes out. A lot of it has to do with UFOs and stuff, but he does have a Bigfoot that hangs out there. I think there's a family of them. Anyway, I went to this place called Lemurian Hill, and I just sat there and meditated for a while. And then in my mind's eye, I saw this Bigfoot just walking by, like in the video, you know, that famous video, but he turns and he smiles at me. And I swear that's the smile, the way his teeth and everything were. I said, "You look like James Gilliland, the guy that owns the ranch." And he says to me and James are brothers. So he treats them with respect out there. He's not out there trying to hunt them down, and he doesn't allow people that are staying there to do that kind of thing either. Anyway, just excuse me, I have a little allergies. Yeah. Anyway, probably about 2 months ago, just before my roommate finally moved out, she's all healed up, cancer free. I'm so proud of her. Anyway, I had this dream, altered state, astral flight. I have these often because as soon as I go to sleep, I'm harder than heck to wake up. You can ask my husband when I'm deep sleep. I take off because I like to go do stuff when I'm sleeping, I guess. Anyway, he comes up. I cannot pronounce his name, but it does sound like with a V sound. And a lot of the language the verbal language that a Bigfoot use is grunts and clicks and stuff, you know, sort of like talking to a guy, you know, a bowler or a truck driver in my case. But he brought his wife out, and she was so pretty, beautiful Bigfoot lady, blonde hair. She had on this cute little ruffly apron that was pink, and she had a big tray of cookies. And she said, "Welcome to the community." And I talked to her, and it wasn't, with me and her, it was part verbal and part psychic communication. And she explained to me that she was her great grandmother was human. She was an injured woman that her great grandfather had found out in the woods, or wherever he had found her. And they took her and helped her to get better. And she had actually gone out there to she wanted to die. Her life was not going well. And she told him, "I don't have anything to go back for." They said, "Well, then you can stay with us." And eventually, you know, the guy that saved her, she married him. I think that's just so romantic, you know. Sure, he's big and hairy. I like big hairy guys myself. Well, you've seen my husband. He's hair from here down. I swear, I love it. But yeah, they married Hope's great grandmother, and like I said, she told me that she is part human. And her husband indicated to me that she was very desired in their community because she was part human, and she'd actually come. I'm getting more stuff too. She's come from the Mount Shasta area, and when they moved up towards Mount Adams, because of all the fires and stuff they had in the Shasta area and in Paradise and all around there, all the fire that they had, a lot of the inner earth beings moved up further north, and most of them are in and around Mount Adams, but they're going back into Mount Shasta. I've done some work there, opening portals, good portals, and closing down the nasty ones. So, but I am looking forward. I'm thinking very strongly about going back up to East City this year because I'm getting a call again. But my husband got me those night vision binoculars, so I get to try those out. But I am looking forward to meeting my hillbilly relatives and running through the hills with them. Just be another Bigfoot.
So do you think that the caves are, so let me just tell you, and you've helped me discern a lot of things working with the ancestors, but working with my ancestors, sometimes they'll come to me out of the caves. Do you think that's a Bigfoot thing as well? Like there's some kind of dimension or portal where they will come through the cave?
Yeah, there are portals all over the place. Out in nature, yes. There are portals, and yeah, caves can be that because originally, like cavemen, they didn't call them cavemen for nothing. We original buildings that we dwelt in were like caves and dens and things like that. So of course some place like that would have a great capacity to be some sort of a portal to the inner earth. But I don't think that Joe Blow, regular guy, could go hunting for it and get there because it has a lot to do with the vibration that you carry. And they're not going to let half of the people in this world are, just crazy nuts. Well, if it scares me, I'm going to shoot it. Instead of, oh, it's kind of scary. What is it? Try to investigate it, understand it. No, the first thing they want to do is to bring out a gun and shoot it, But I don't think that they would be able to get into any of the secret places within our inner earth, even if they went into a place that had a portal. It wouldn't jive with them because it has to do with your the vibration that you bring with you, and you bring that with you wherever you go. You know yourself, if you go into a room where people have been arguing, you can feel that angry energy in there, even though the argument might be over, they might have left and you're just walking, what the hell is that? Yeah, that's a lot of really nasty energy. I've gone to people's house. I had a dear friend. I love her so much, but she will get angry and then she'll just start complaining about everything. I came over to visit. I wanted to cheer up and be happy and all this stuff. And all you're doing is complaining and bitching about your kids, your husband. I'm going to leave. I can't take that much negativity. It's not for me to deal with. And I don't understand people who can live on the negative side all the time, But she really enjoyed her bitchiness, though. Well, I haven't seen her for years, though. That was a friend of mine in West Sacramento. I haven't heard. She used to send me cards, but one year for my birthday, I didn't receive one. And then on her birthday, I sent her a card, and I never heard back. So she may have passed away. She was in her late 50s, and she had some health problems and stuff. So, plus, I always said, "Damn, I hope if she passes away, there's other people around besides her kids, because the kinds of little assholes will just feed on the corpse, They take everything from their mom. Well, mom's dead, let's eat the body, that kind of thing, I mean, not literally, but figuratively, they just, because like I loaned her money or whatever, and she couldn't ever pay me back because whenever she got money, her kids got it. Everybody else was always in on it. So it's okay. I mean, I get it. But it was worth that $20 not to ever have to be harassed by her again to loan her money. So that was good. Oh, we did want to talk about the fairy folks.
Yeah. So oh my God, we got so much here. We covered a little bit about light language last time where we both spoke. And we have light and dark magic and fairies and land spirits.
Yes, I do. The light and dark magic is important to sort of quantify it, because there really is no color to magic. It's the intention of the practitioner that drives the magic that's going on with it. But you do need to know some of the stuff that's done by the adversary, those who are out to be negative and to serve self-service, that sort of stuff. It's real important to know what kind of spells and stuff they use. So if you need to counteract it or to remove it, then if you know what the spell is, then it's easier for you to, remove the negativity from it. I've got all kinds of books. If somebody came into my files and stuff, that oh, this girl's an evil witch. She's got tons of these books on black magic and stuff. It's intellectual knowledge, stuff that I would like to know, because I'd like to know where somebody else is coming from if they're coming at me. Because a lot of them will smile in your face and then be, doing nasty little things to you. I told you, yeah, I had issues with that over at the trailer park that I used to live at. Those people they actually threw urine on my trailer.
Oh my
God.
God.
What I did? I counteracted it with the sanctified scent of the goddess, which is flowers or roses. So I burn rose oil all the time, and they stopped fucking with me, because that brings in the Mother Mary, that brings in the goddess, and you can't do shit against that.
Well, also unintentional spells as well, right? From people that don't know any better, that don't know nothing about.
You can curse somebody even if you're not a regular practitioner. If you see somebody that, maybe they did something you don't like, or whatever. She bought those last pair of those nice high heels. I hope she breaks her leg wearing them, something nasty like that. And if you're really pissed and put enough energy in it, you have made yourself a curse. Just like every day a blessing when you say, good morning, have a nice day. You're handing out blessings. This is magic. We all do it all the time. Well, when you say bless you, when you sneeze or whatever, everybody does this kind of magic. We call it wishcraft. Oh, I wish you and your wife a wonderful anniversary, or I wish you have a happy birthday. This is wishcraft, which is, one way of witchcraft. This is how we send positive energies to one another. Like I said, everybody does it. It's just some people are not afraid of walking into it and saying, yes, I'm a witch.
Yeah, well, I've had to do a lot of protection spells from one individual in particular who has so much rage and bitterness that she just wishes everybody around her to like basically die. And so you can unwillingly know, or not, you can not know what you're doing, but you're doing it by the malice that you feel in your heart. Yes,
because it is all about the energy, the emotion that you put into something. Yes, and I'll tell you a better way to deal with a person that's like that. I have had similar situations myself. Instead of constantly putting up barriers against her, take a little astral flight to her home, talk to her higher self, because the higher self is the closest thing closer to God. And you will get the God presence from that higher self. You explain what you're doing, what she has done, and what you're doing to counteract it, and you just bind her. Bind her. She can't do anything to you when she's bound. And I always make the proviso, I'm binding this person because they did X, and they're, causing havoc to people or whatever the situation. But if they realize the wrongness of their ways, realize they've been selfish and that they shouldn't treat people like that, the binds will disappear. They will melt away if they learn to be a better person and not to use their abilities against one another. And I think I talked to you about the gal who was the dream walker who pulled crap on me and tried to jump me. What cracks me up is, she thought she was hot shit. She came and she jumped me. She found out you should never use a skill that you have against anybody, because you don't know what kind of skill that person might have. I don't go around marching up, I'm a witch and I've got all these powers and I'm better than you, so you better just watch out. I would never do that. I always try to be, okay, I'm just here to help. I'm just here to help. So a lot of people will think, oh, she's just, don't pay too much attention to her. She's just full of it or whatever. Because I don't go around bragging about myself. I don't go around advertising every single thing I do and how I do it. But there are those people who think that because they've got an ability, and she was an excellent dream walker, but she learns, you walk in on my dreams, honey, I've been doing this a lot longer than you have. I have been magic all of my lives. My very first life, as I told you, Marta, that's what she was here for. And this lifetime, I'm here to, like to teach and all that, but I'm also here to wake everybody up to the magic. We all have this awesome, wonderful magic, just boom, 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 all up inside of us, where we can manifest anything we want. We can make the world a better place. It just is a matter of meditating, calming ourselves down, and concentrating on what we really want, what would be best. Say, oh man, I've got a terrible headache. I really wish for aspirin. Why would you wish for that? Why don't you just heal your headache? It's a lot easier. That way you don't have to take anything for it. But you understand what I'm saying there.
Yeah. So let's get a little bit deeper. I'm going to get my teacher to get a little bit deeper, Jens, guys.
Okay, where are we going? Fairies?
No, when it comes to anger and fear and all that, when we're talking about the narcissistic soul, doesn't it kind of result to trauma?
Trauma that's like a big hole. When you've got trauma, this is why we need to do our shadow work, walk into that trauma, whatever situation it was. I had my sister was beating me up when I was very little. And, by the time I was 8 years old, I finally beat the crap out of her. So I had to reconcile with that. Still part of me dislikes her. I understand why she acts the way she does. She's got her own issues that she does not deal with.
Yeah.
I don't understand how people don't do that, but
it really is with your shadow, isn't it? Looking at the inner part.
Absolutely. That's why I did the course Shadow Dancing. It made it sound a little more interesting and fun. We can work together and make it a less traumatic situation when we're walking into our deepest, darkest part of us. Now, when I had my dear friend Gunsmoke here with me, she brought back stuff from that. I've been talking to you about that. I was just a wild freaking drinking, cheap-fisted biatch and bully and a lot of things. And I had to learn to deal with that because I was getting to the point where I'm trying. But I remember this stuff, all this stuff that you put away because you changed in raising kids and you're not riding Harleys and being a badass biker bitch or whatever, not doing that anymore. How are you going to reconcile yourself with it? Now, poor Daniel, he had a little issue with me. We were talking about all the guys we had been with. He said, I really didn't want to hear that. I said, well, you're the only man I've been with for the past 30 years. It doesn't mean that just because I've had a variety of lovers doesn't mean that I'm going to leave you. I'm a very loyal person. So it was just a matter of actually remembering who I was, but I had to walk into that darkness and it was scary as hell. Couldn't even look at myself in the mirror sometimes. Part of the course, as you know, is the man in the mirror technique, where you just stand there and you stare right into your own eyes as deep as you can go. I really disliked myself at one point. I mean, I like myself. I put my makeup on. Oh, I look so pretty. But I wasn't feeling it. I wasn't ensouled pretty within myself. So it's been a long, long road, but I'm getting there.
Class like that though, because there's so many people that are waking up and they're waking up to their shadow first.
But there's a lot of people that will avoid it. I mean, if we don't like something that's unpleasant, why would we want to do it? But you'll find that if you're going to walk the walk, walk the path of to enlightenment and ascension and just, upgrading the whole world, you're going to have to admit the nasty shit that you did. And even though you can't go back and change it, you can apologize in meditation to whoever you may have hurt, but who you really need to apologize to and heal is yourself. Because when you do nasty shit, you hurt yourself as well. You get this mindset that, divorced. I was divorced. All men are assholes. Oh, they only want one thing. That, and you go through that whole anger thing while you're going through that. But I had to make myself understand that all guys aren't assholes. But we do need assholes when it comes to dealing with shit.
And so, this with my teacher, because when I needed Maighread, it was my other spirit mama that introduced me to you with my spirit sister, Leah, who brought us together, and you helped me face the deepest shadows of myself because we went through a lot of the same things. And then
yeah.
able to connect me with our ancestors, really, because we come from the same
Scotch, Irish, hillbillies.
hillbilly, Irish, Scottish kind of background, which it does apply, but then it doesn't, because we're all connected and we're all one. That's just a whole other spectrum on its own. But the ancestors knew that I would need this spirit mama to walk me through my deepest shit. And she has really helped me. And this is why I was asking her the right questions to bring it forward, because this is important work. Because as you wake up, as you awaken to your true self and to spirit and to nature, this is going to smack you in the face. No joke. This is going to be the hard work that you're going to have to do. And it's teachers like Maighread and the other ones that I've worked with that brings you to that, and spirit will bring you to the right people. But I know that you hold a lot of classes. Dancing with Your Shadows, that was one that you held. The Arcturian Dragons, that's another one that helped me. I mean, yes, a lot of it was me and you working together on a personal level, being a soul family like we are, where we worked with the Elven family, which we're going to get to next, the Elven family, the Fae family, our origins and stuff like that. And yes, it helps us to connect, working with our soul DNA and our physical DNA, but not to forget that we're all one consciousness.
Absolutely. I believe that
forward, because I feel like it's really important right now with everything that's going on and everyone that's waking up. We're purging a lot of our, I don't know if you would call it shadow, darkness, however you refer it to. I would call it our egoic self that we're mastering to become.
Absolutely. And that's the thing about the ego. So many spiritual paths say, oh, you have to kill the ego, the death of the ego. I am totally against that. I do not believe that God got us, would have given us an ego if we didn't need it. I consider the ego to be something like the anchor on your boat. It's there when you need it, but you don't want to be dragging it around all the time on the bottom of the ocean floor, right? You want it to be able to use it when you need the ego to help you with something. So it's not a matter of killing that ego. It's a matter of training that motherfucker to do right.
Do you plan on another Dancing with Your Shadow class? I know that you plan on doing the Arcturians with
yeah. Well, the one that I've advertised time to release, the dragons, that's basically, most of it's just different Reiki packages and some history on the legends of dragons. And then there's some actual dragon spells to where you can work with the magic and work with the dragons. That's important. It brings out what the kind of magic and the stuff they do. But when we bring in the Arcturian dragons behind that, you're bringing in the spiritual gifts of it and raising it all up to a higher form. And originally, these were two different classes. I'm going to put it together and make it something a little more fulfilling and different for those who can connect with the high vibes of this. Of course, I've got classes that anybody can take to help wake them up, like the connecting with the goddess through the maiden mother and the crone. That was one of my first classes, and I felt that it was so important because they don't teach that kind of stuff anymore. It's okay to be a feminine woman if you want to be. It's okay not to be too. If you want to be a tomboy, that's fine too. But it's important to embrace the feminine side of your personality. And your husband was even in the class with us. So we also understand that all people have the balance of the masculine and the feminine within them. And this is how we work together. This is why I keep telling my Christian friends, I go, in the Bible, when it says in the beginning, all that, there was, and when he created man and woman, he created. Why did he create a man and a woman if there was no concept of that before? We need both.
Right. Yep.
It's very important, and you shouldn't think that one sex is, one is better than the other, because we may not be exactly the same in the kind of stuff. Women are more emotional, men are more cranial, that sort of thing. People don't want it. It's like they don't want people to know that anymore. They're ruining all of this crap in the schools by saying, well, everybody can do this. And you go into the bathrooms and you don't know who you're going to meet when you're in there just trying to do your business. So it's kind of scary to me. I'm glad I don't have kids in school anymore. But it's important to me to understand we all have male and female qualities within us, and we just need to balance them. Because, just like an old washing machine, if it's out of balance, clang, 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 it ain't going to be working very well. You ain't going to get your laundry done, honey.
Identifying masculine. Yeah.
Absolutely.
It's for all those that might be questionable with, okay, well, she does classes. What about you? That's my purpose from what Spirit had told me, was to share the stories. My stories and my teacher stories and every spiritual healer that I come across, to go just through storytelling. That's my purpose. My teacher's purpose is to teach. Yes, storytelling is a way of teaching, but there's a difference. There's classes held that she holds, and there has been classes that I've held in the past, a long time ago, but that's not what I'm supposed to do. We all have our purpose in life. Each one of
absolutely. Yeah. And you get a different calling. You might get a different calling. Like for almost a year, I worked at the psychic fair, and I got the message, you don't need to be sitting at the bazaar selling your tarot cards or, doing this little bit. That's not what you're supposed to be doing. The reason I had joined it was I was supposed to get out and communicate with people and kind of share the magic sort of thing. But that's not exactly what I'm doing now. I prefer to hold classes, but with the finances and everything the way they are right now, I really try to keep the classes that I teach to a minimum charge, because I don't want anybody to go broke just because they're trying to better themselves. They're trying to learn more. They're trying to understand themselves. Yeah. Would you like to talk about fairies now?
Yes, let's talk about fairies, because that's one of the things that we love to talk about all the time.
Oh, yeah. Me and my friend Moonchild, the fairies have brought us together so much. Let's see, when I was very small, I was always kind of a know-it-all and stuff. So my brothers and sisters would tease me. So I spent a lot of time by myself. And my grandmother, on my granny, a Granny Sword, my mom's mom, she took me to church with her. And it started out, oh my gosh, I was like a little parrot. I would repeat all of the stuff she would teach me, the words of the gospel, blah, blah, blah. I'm up there reciting it, right? I remember I did sing Silent Night I was like 4, Silent Night at the Christmas thing. And then at the end of Silent Sleep in Heavenly Peace, I just sort of nodded my head down like this. And it was like, everybody tell me how fantastic I was. Oh my God, I was so stuck up. I thought I was an angel. But my dear father didn't like it. My dad, that's where the druid comes in through my grandmother. My dad tells me, oh, I've got something you will love, honey. What's that? Oh, he taught me a dirty limerick. I didn't know what it was. I just repeated it. So the next Sunday when I went to church, there was a man from Boston who bought a car in Austin. There's room for his ass and a gallon of gas, but his balls fell off and he lost them. Whoa.
Oh, no way.
Yeah. And Granny never, she left. She was humiliated. She left. She took me home, and I really thought she hated me for some reason. I didn't understand it at the time. So I'm outside playing by myself, being kind of sad, playing in the garden. And that's where I met my little friend Violet. She was tiny and purple, and she's only about this big, but she had little purple curls, like little ringlets, and they would tinkle when she'd move her head. So she was the first fairy I started talking to, and like, we would play in the garden. I remember one time my mom's calling me, we're going to your grandma's house. My grandmother lived with my Aunt Violet. And so I was telling my little friend Violet about that, and she takes something out of her hair and she puts it in the ground. She goes, in a couple of weeks, that's going to grow up. And when it does, you take it to your Auntie Violet, because we've got the same name, and you tell her it's from Violet for Violet. So sure enough, I walked out of this bush. My mother's yelling at me, whoa, where were you? Were you hiding from me? Blah, blah, blah. Get in the car, and we left, right? Well, 4 weeks later, maybe, we're going to grandma's house, and I go under that bush, and there's a little violet, and it was like a mini violet. It was very tiny. I dug it up and I put it in a pot, and I took it to my grandmother's house, and I went to give it to Aunt Violet. And I had learned, because of that whole fiasco with the church, to keep my damn mouth shut unless I was spoke to, because I didn't want to say something that was going to upset somebody. And I didn't realize, because I was a kid. Anyway, so I go up and I'm standing next to my Aunt Violet. And I go, here, I got this from my friend Violet, the fairy. And she said she wanted to give you this because your name's Violet too. And my mother starts mouthing off, oh, quick, you've got that weed. That ain't nothing but a weed, blah, blah, blah. And my Aunt Violet kind of crooks an eye at her, gives her an eye, and says, no, this is in fact a violet. And she looks at me and she says, you tell your little friend. I said, thank you very much. And it was a connection through that family. I'd actually, when the summer solstice came along, Violet came and woke me up early. I was out in the woods playing with him, and my mother freaked out. I hadn't been home all day. And she starts running through the woods screaming for me. And I'm there singing underneath this big oak tree with the fairy folks, singing a solstice song, something about rapture of the sun. Anyway, my mom comes up, and they would turn to butterflies and fly off. It just looked like a swarm of butterflies flying off, yelling at me, where have you been? I've been right here. I've been playing and singing with my friends. Didn't you see them fly off? Those are fairies. Those were just butterflies. Quit making up stories, you dumb kid. But that was my first experience with fairies. And for years, like after I grew up, you got to stop telling the stories about fairies. You got to go to school. You got to do this. You got to do that. And for a long time, I did not deal with fairies until I walked back I found myself again. Hey, there you are. You're a witch, aren't you? Yeah, I finally had to admit it. There was a place where I lived in Marysville. There was the elder mother, which is the guardian
You
of
grew
the
up
fairy.
in Marysville too?
Marysville, California.
Okay.
Yeah, yours was Marysville, Oregon or Washington?
No. I was thinking eastbound, not here in the Northwest. Yeah.
Oh, no, it was Marysville. Yeah, there's a Marysville in just about every state. I traveled around quite a bit. There's Marysville here in Texas too. So, but yeah, it was actually the story I just told you was published in Fate magazine in July 2007. So that was one of the stories that I did have published, was about my interaction with fairy folk. And they've been so pleasant and so helpful. I told you that I saw that one at the Wismartha Lights manifested as a fairy for me. So they're all around. I actually meet them when I go places. We were in Sedona. Yeah, that might have been the year we went there for our anniversary. And we're downtown and we're trying to find a place to park. And of course, it's a weekend. It's the summertime because our anniversary is the 5th of August. So it's summertime, it's Arizona. So the place is packed. And Danny's getting a little frustrated. He follows this one guy. Oh, it's another parking lot. And when we followed this guy, it looped around and came back to the same parking lot we'd already been through. But I heard this little voice, hello. Do you need a parking, please? Yeah. Well, you'll have a parking place. And I told Daniel, I says, I just talked to a fairy. She said, we will get a parking place. And we went a little bit, and right behind the darn shop that I wanted to go into, guy pulls right, we're driving up on it. He pulls out and we pulled right in. And I'm going, oh my gosh. And my husband's going, what's going on? Oh, I think I found myself a parking space, fairy. And she's telling me that if anybody wants a parking space, and I've been told that these fairies also work on stop and go lights. I sent a stone to a friend of mine, Kitty Koch. I went to high school with her, and I sent her one of the rocks, and she told me that it works for the street lights too. So, the stop and go lights, it'll stop them. So I go, oh. And Danny always gets a good parking place. He really does. He took a friend of his who's I call him my husband in waiting, Kevin. He's is a retired firefighter. And they went on a trip up to Chicago to watch the game with the Chicago Bears. And Dan says, watch this. Every place he'd go, he would get a good parking place right off the bat. And his friend's going, Dan goes, it's fairies. And his friend's going, no, it's not fairies. Okay, my wife says it's fairies. But just so you know, that husband to be, this is what he gave me last time I saw him. He came down to visit us when we were in California in August.
There's actually 3 of them. Isn't there 3 of them?
Well, this is the one that he gave me. And this is actually a brown amethyst. So it's my birthstone. But no, these 2 guys, Danny just got these
there we go.
For my birthday. I just recently had my birthday. And this is Ramon and this is Elisa. I don't know why I made those names out, but they told me that's who they are. Ramon and Elisa. So they hang out with my other dragons.
I'm going to get a little bit deep again.
Oh, sure.
Because people say that there's no way that the Fae can follow us in America.
Who says this?
A lot of people from Ireland and Scotland.
It's because they don't want that. They think that they own that. You understand? They think they own the fairy lore, but that's not true, honey. There's fairy lore everywhere.
Well,
in
Hawaii,
they're called the Menahui.
Yeah.
I think I showed you you were in my group where I showed you that little ghost that was like there with a bunch of deers around it. That was taken in Pennsylvania. My friend Moonchild, she showed it to me and she says, you know who this is? I said, he calls himself the herdsman. He just protects her. It's an earth spirit that sort of watches out for herds of deer. In this case, it was a herd of deer. I suppose it could be a herd of any other kind of animals, but he called himself the herdsman, and he manifested like a little, kind of like the typical gray in the shape of the head and the body, but it was just all whitish gray, like a ghost type thing. So, but yeah, no, they're everywhere, honey. They're everywhere. And you have to understand, fairies are spirit. They can move wherever they want to. They can be in this place and that place. It's omnipresence. Once you're past this 3D world, you can do lots of things simultaneously, and you can go wherever you want to with just the thought. And sometimes they will actually, have a family lineage that has connection with the fairies. I met a leprechaun back in Michigan behind our house. And he asked me if I was Cletus Ethel's granddaughter. And that's my Grandma B. And I said, yeah. He said, oh, you tell her that Patrick Murphy said hi.
And really? This is why I bring it up, Jens, guys. I already know my teacher's story. We already know that this is a thing, but it's for you to figure this out for Jens' own sake. But honestly, like, everybody says a certain thing, whether you call it gatekeeping or whatever else, it doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter, because we're all trying to find our way at the end of the day,
absolutely,
right?
Absolutely.
But I can tell you, and this is why I say this is why Maighread says this. This is why everybody else who does spirit work says this. In my own experience, because that's the
Absolutely.
truth that we can speak from. In my own experience, I can only tell you from that. And I will tell you this from my own experience. I have met a goat woman who is known not only in these lands, but also in Scotland. She's very well known. And I am not trying to bring the whole DNA thing into it. I'm really not. But it makes sense to me when you have 53% British and like 36% Scottish, why those DNA ancestors, whether they be fairy or whatever known, might come to you to help you out in life because it
Absolutely.
is a thing. So the goat woman is a thing and she teaches lessons. Is she chaotic energy? Because I don't believe in really dark energy, not after all these years. There are heavy energies, there are chaotic
Oh, oh, oh,
energies.
oh. Then you haven't, have you ever found the abyss so deep you looked at it and it looked back at you? This is the
So
deepest,
that,
scariest kind of crap. And that's part of working with the shadow. You
here we
just have
go.
to know it's there and not back down, not show, actually show no fear. Keep away from those negative thoughts. Don't, it may be a cautious situation you're in, but there's no need to be afraid. Just be cautious and don't let it go to
So
the place where you're scared to death and you can't work properly. You can't respond to whatever energy they're putting out to you and counteracting it, as it were. But like you say, yeah, it's all just energy, and whether it's good or bad is only through our perception, the way that we would see it.
right here. Yes, yes, right here, here. And so I only bring this up because I know that you will reciprocate in kind. And I know that you being the teacher that you are, you'll be like, okay, honey, let's talk about this a little bit deeper, which helps others in kind. But yeah, brownies are real. Everybody like brownies love to be in the house. They are a spiritual fae that loves to be in the house and they love to have gifts. If you do start to give them gifts, please plan on giving them gifts all throughout your life because they don't
Yes.
like it when you stop. Okay. They are mischievous. They are not dark. They are mischievous. And I know that, and I'm not saying anything against the Irish culture or anything else or the Scottish, but the DNA runs very thick in our blood and we work with them too. Yes, you need to have respect for everything spiritual. And if you are going to start to have what they call right relationship, you better be prepared to keep
Come
on giving
correctly.
gifts
You need to come correctly. Yeah,
correctly.
and
Yes,
not be, oh, you're my servant and I'm just going to tell you what to do,
exactly.
because
You
I would
can't,
never do it. And what cracks me up is the people that want to try to conjure a demon. Too often, instead of actually connecting to an actual demon, what they do is wind up making what we would call a topa or a thought form. And
yes.
you just have to think about it and say, I want it to have these aspects and that aspects, and boom, that's the energy that I created, and that's the topa. And you still have to, when you're done with it, for whatever purpose you made it, you need to take it back down, because if you don't, it's just going to be wild energy that's going to cause wreak havoc on people that
Yeah.
are unsuspecting. So yeah, that's why I don't do too much literal magic on the physical plane of consciousness, because I think life is pretty good. As long as I keep a good attitude, I don't need to do too much magic. But I do like to do, healing rituals are really big with me. And of course, the nature rituals to help heal the nature and to bring we saw a big party today. Danny put out some food for the birds and they were all out there. There was this gackle and there were little finches and there were doves, all kinds of birds out there partying in my backyard.
Well, and I think that's the important thing is the healing thing and the protection thing and the being there for each
Absolutely.
other.
And
And you know what?
security to make the animals around you feel like they're not going to be harmed, you know. I mean, even the wild animals that come in, I've got possums and cats, and like I said, birds in my backyard. So.
So, Maighread, how do you feel about this? Like, we know about the chaotic energy and all that, the shadow and the light aspect, but at the end of the day, we all come from source, right? So, do you think
Absolutely.
that one day we'll all meet as one and have more of a balance? What's your
Well,
feelings on that?
it has to go that when things grow and the progression of time, progression of spirit, I'm pretty sure that there's going to become a time where we're all going to understand each other a whole lot better. But the thing is, it's the struggle. The struggle is how we learn. So we can't take that, like you said, the chaotic or the negative, we can't take that completely away, because you need it to keep progressing. And I think it's like a forever thing, that we're forever going to be getting a little bit better, a little closer to that, which is God got us a little bit closer to that. But like I was talking to a friend of mine the other day, it's like, how can you get mad at me if I'm just a little molecule in God's butt? Because you're a molecule in God's toes.
So I have one more question when it
Okay,
comes to Elvin. Well, we might have a few more as the day or
that's
the
fine.
night progresses. How do you feel about the mountain elves, the dark elves, like this one, if he would show his face?
What are you talking about? That's
Yeah, the dark elf.
your little backdrop keeps cutting me out.
I know.
Yeah, he's like disappears. He's in, he's out.
Because you
No,
remember how many times we
absolutely.
get called out?
Even what you might refer to as the dark elves have their place. Like the dark keys on the keyboard. We all have our place. The dark, the light, the left, the right. We have to have the is it a junction? A junction of opposites is what makes the world kind of go around. You can't have everything on one side of the boat, or the boat's going to tip over. You have to have the balance on both sides, the light and the dark.
And and he's like the Darwin, as far as I'm concerned. He's like the Darwin. He's helping me get my ginger tea going tonight because I've got this cold going on. As you know, we're all fighting this together.
Yeah. Well, the weather gets so weird this time of year. It was cold as heck last week, and now it's back up in the 80s, and I've got my air conditioning on.
You got 80s there?
Yep.
Oh my gosh. Like I had damn near 60 yesterday.
Ooh,
and
nice.
Then, yeah, that was yesterday. Today it's 40 something.
Oh, bummer.
Yeah.
But working with the fairies and the elven, they love to sing, they love to dance, they like to bring in the joy, and that's why I use them in a lot of my healing rituals, along with a song. They always want to let's have a song. We're going to sing those people and make them heal. That kind of happiness and that energy. And yourself, when you start a ritual, if you're doing it in person, the best thing to do is to get everybody together and socialize. And then you get the energy up by singing and dancing and fellowshipping. And that's where the magic comes in, through all of this awesome energy that we can raise by doing what do you call it? A syncretic ritual. We're all involved in a ritual, and this brings in the magic, and we project all this magic out to heal the people during, the example I'm getting is for the healing rituals.
Okay.
Which I do every week, usually on Wednesdays, but sometimes I will change it till the next day if I'm having issues.
God. And I keep forgetting it. I keep thinking it's Thursdays. I'm sorry if I missed yesterday. I had a lot going on, so I wouldn't have been able to make it anyways. But
no, that's fine.
I am the worst witch possible, Jens, guys.
No, you're not. Don't do this. Don't do the negative self-talk.
I know. That's the shadow.
Yeah. I'll stub my toe and then I'll go, I am so stupid. I knew that chair was there. Why am I cursing at myself? Is that making things better? No.
Oh, okay. I've got my new honey tea that Chris made me to make me feel better. And I am ready to go.
Some honey tea.
Oh, he did. Honey ginger with a little bit of lemon, hot water. Oh my gosh, this shit that's been going around. And it's everybody who's like, here's the thing, guys. You just got to keep putting it in your head. You're going to get through it. That
Absolutely.
mind over matter, it's a spell of its own,
And if you
right?
don't have a mind, it doesn't matter.
Right. So, but because my throat has been so raw and like with my other videos that I've recently had, I know that my congestion is showing. And then on top of it, I had to take Mucinex because it's in my chest. So
Oh,
it's
yeah.
like, and that always makes me a little goofy. So I'm sorry if I do sound a little goofy. I don't mean to. It's
Oh,
just
I like you
trying to
goofy,
get better.
honey.
I might be a little bit funner because otherwise I'm so serious and you always have to pull me out of my shell.
Oh, I have
Or
to laugh at everything. I like everything to be joyful. If I get myself depressed, like if I get sick for more than 3 days, I will get myself depressed, and I have to remember not to do that. That's when I start
yeah.
reading comics, or I'll put on a movie that's funny. I'll put on the Marx Brothers, some old stuff, even the Three Stooges, something that's going to help me get out of my funk, which has helped me to understand when I have those times. Oh, you're sick now, you're getting depressed, and you're just going to keep going down unless you pick yourself up and get going and get up. And who's the only one in the entire universe who can control you and who can help you? You got to do it yourself.
So
Can't
I
just say,
think we might.
"Oh, I'm depressed, mommy, come over and cheer me up and make me happy again." No, my happiness doesn't depend on you, although I'm always happy to talk to you. But my happiness depends on me.
So I want
I'm
to
in charge of
do.
that stuff. So, huh?
I want to do another video back to back because I want another segment after this because I know that we're only doing an hour at a time. Would you mind if we shut down now and start back up? Because there's
No
so much
problem.
more.
I'll be
I
glad
have questions for you.
to. Okay.
Okay. All right, let's end this now. Thank you all for joining in, and we are going to tune right back up, and I'm going to get another video started because I have a lot of questions for my teacher. Definitely. With everything going on. So I'm going to end this now. We're going to start back up, Yuns, guys.
Okay. Thank you. Goodbye.
Thank you. Bye.